In the quiet town of Hollow Creek, nestled between dense forests and misty mountains, whispers of the legendary Mothman had faded into urban legend over the years, becoming mere stories told around campfires. But for Sam, a 17-year-old with an insatiable curiosity and a penchant for the supernatural, the Mothman was more than a ghost story. It was an obsession. One crisp autumn evening, just as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson and orange, Sam decided to explore the woods surrounding Hollow Creek. He had devised a plan to document any signs of the elusive Mothman, armed with nothing more than his grandfather's old camera and a flashlight that flickered like a stuttering heartbeat. As darkness enveloped the forest, strange sounds erupted around him, the rustling of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, and an unsettling silence that followed. Still, Sam pressed on, driven by a thrill that mingled with trepidation. The tales of the Mothman spoke of a creature with glowing red eyes, large wings, and a terrible omen that followed those who encountered him. After hiking for what felt like hours, Sam stumbled upon an old abandoned shack, hidden beneath a dense canopy of trees. Intrigued and with a surge of adrenaline, he pushed the creaky door open. The air inside was stale, thick with an unshakable sense of dread. Wooden beams groaned under the weight of years gone by, but amidst the cobwebs and dust, something glimmered in the corner, an old box. Flipping open the box, Sam found yellowed newspapers with articles about Mothman sightings from decades past. His heart raced with excitement as he skimmed through the tales of the creature's horrifying appearances, capturing the attention of local residents, creating fear among all who laid eyes on him. Suddenly, a peculiar sound pierced the silence, a fluttering, like large wings beating against the wind. The commotion sent chills down Sam's spine. He turned to leave, but before he could take a step, a piercing red glow filled the room. Sam's heart raced as he spun around, shining the beam of his flashlight into the darkness. Within the shadows stood a figure, outlined by the red light that emanated from its eyes, two glowing orbs that seemed to pierce through the very fabric of darkness. The creature's silhouette was unmistakable, massive wings folded against its back, its form tall and unnaturally slender. Frozen in place, Sam's mind raced with the stories he'd heard, all the warnings about the Mothman predicting doom and disaster. He felt a rush of fear that made every hair on his body stand on end. "Leave this place," the air around him seemed to whisper, fervent and urgent. But it wasn't a voice, it was an instinct, a deep-seated urge to flee. Yet, his feet felt glued to the floor, captivating his attention to the creature before him. Then, in a flash, the Mothman lunged forward, its wings unfurling with a sound like tearing fabric. Sam shook himself free from his stupor and turned to run, but was met by the creature's presence in every direction. Panic surged through him as he sprinted toward the door he had entered. Outside, the cool wind whipped past him, carrying with it a distant echo of a haunting cry that made him look back. The Mothman stood, a silhouette against the moonlight, eyes still glowing, watching him with an intensity that drained the warmth from his bones. Sam ran until he reached the edge of the woods, glancing back only once to see the creature had vanished into the night. Heart pounding painfully in his chest, he didn't stop until he reached the safety of his home. Days passed, and though he tried to forget, it was impossible. Whispers in the school halls resumed, stories of strange occasions, people disappearing without a trace, eerie shadows casting against the landscape, and the inescapable dread that clung to the air. But what haunted Sam most were the dreams. Nightmares of the Mothman, visions of impending doom, chaos swirling around him like a tempest. Desperation clawed at him, he had to understand. Then came the news. A bridge in a nearby town was set to collapse, the very bridge he had crossed only days before. His heart dropped. The Mothman's warning had not been in vain. Late that night, as he lay in bed, he caught a glimpse of something flitting by his window. It was quick, almost ethereal. The Mothman had returned, and this time he was not lurking, he was watching. Sam understood. The creature was not merely a harbinger of doom, he was a guardian too, a protector of those who had seen what lies beyond the veil of the ordinary. And so, as silence fell upon Hollow Creek once more, Sam realized that sometimes, it's the things we fear most that guide us through darkness. And while the Mothman may loom as a shadow in the night, it was also a light that warned of the dangers unseen. A creature of mystery, an omen of fate intertwined with the fabric of his reality.